And he just said, no, we're upgrading the cars. And he said, you are driving your car. He said, and I'm pleased that you're using it and you're enjoying it. So I've done this, and I've done this, and I've done this. Didn't used to ask you. You used to go down there, like, you know, I've come for my car, collect my car. And he's like, oh, well, we've done this and this and this as well. I know you didn't ask for it, but we've done it.
Welcome to part 3 of our interview with Chris Palmer. In parts 1 and 2, Chris covered his ownership experiences with his McLaren F1s and Ferrari F cars. This time, we'll be hearing about a car that Chris purchased in the late 90s from a small company in Italy.
With the Zonda, it was a Pagani Zonda C12 S, the S version, which was the 7-litre version. And a couple of my friends had been on I think it was a Lamborghini day. They'd got Lambos, Diablos, and Horacio had arrived with the original 6-litre car, which was I think it was called the C12, the first one, with a more, didn't have the sort of pronounced V-taper on the front nose. It was a more rounded car, and a 6-litre engine. And they both drove that car at this Lamborghini meet, and we were talking, and both of them sort of said the same thing to me. The car handles like a giant go-kart, and the build quality on it is fantastic, but nobody's heard of this car. What is it? Where's it come from? Of course, everybody's heard of them now, and obviously Horacio's history. Ex worked for Lamborghini, but just the sheer quality of the Zonda at the time. I was fortunate enough to have the Enzo at the same time, and if you put the cars side by side, it literally, I think I'd got the F40 as well at the same time, but if you put the cars side by side, it made the F40 and even the Enzo look like a kit car in terms of build quality. Even in places that you wouldn't see the carbon fibre, the weave was perfectly symmetrical, even in places that somebody looking wouldn't notice. You know, the bonnet latch, for instance, on the Pagani Zonda, from memory, it's either machined out of aluminium, or it's got these beautiful Hallam keys, you know, that hold it to the bonnet. The Ferrari Enzo has got what looks like a €1, you know, a little sort of catch on it, you know, but that's the difference. You know, it's to my mind, I think it's almost like a Fabergé egg of cars. You know, it's a bit Marmite, don't get me wrong, it's not everybody's cup of tea. The back of it can look a little bit awkward, but to me, they're exceptional build quality and they're a fabulous thing to drive. Right, so I rang the factory and spoke to Horacio, and he didn't speak particularly good English at that time. Spoke to his secretary and explained that I wanted the car, and she directed me to a garage in Cannes in the south of France, which owned, at the time, was a really nice chap. It was a great guy to deal with, a chap called Claude Levy. Horacio sent a car up to Claude. I flew down, picked the car up in Cannes and sort of had a long weekend down there, drove it into Monaco. Just blown away by the car. It's quite a funny story. I think Horacio had already had a Zonda in Monaco for the Grand Prix, and this wasn't Grand Prix time, but it would have been maybe June or July when the car finally came. And we went into Monaco for a weekend, and as I drove up into Casino Square, the maitre d' from the casino literally jumped out into the middle of the road. Stop! I was like, okay, fine. And he sort of directed me back, pole position, to park at the side of the steps. You know, oh, you must park it here. So I think they were quite happy to have it. You know, I got out, I'd got a pair of training shoes, a pair of jeans and a white t-shirt, you know, and there's like all these Japanese tourists taking pictures. I hopefully thought maybe I were Tom Cruise, but I think they were actually looking at the car. So yeah, quite. But the road back, the trip back, just immense, up the route Napoleon. That car, just fantastic. That's one of my absolute all-time best memories in a car. The trip back from Monaco in, and just pictures Zonda up, like, thank you. Yeah, obviously it's not a particularly revvy engine. It's the 7-litre AMG V12 that's in there. My overriding memory of that car, I think it only is maybe 6,500 revs, but that car has just got so much torque. You know, third and fourth gear in that car destroyed anything else. It had just got that much torque, immense torque and pickup because of the lightweight. The car was so beautifully balanced. You know, even like Route Napoleon, I think you've done it. You know, it's quite twisty in parts. It's like, just very, very inspiring. Second and third gear in that car, just punching it out of the corners. It's just, and the noise ricocheting off the, you know, fantastic noise. I had a sports exhaust fitted on it, by the way, so it made the most immense noise. So every time the car wanted servicing, I used to, it's a bit of a pain, but I used to ship it back down to Pagani and then make an excuse that I had to go and pick it up, you know, to drive it back. And at that time, still a relatively young company, what a fabulous company to deal with, and Mr. Pagani was so welcoming. And at the time, talk about it, it reminded me very much of the McLaren early days, where McLaren customer care was second to none. You know, it was like almost like a private club, like a family. And he used to do things on the car. I remember that he moved the ignition from a key to a push button, which is now fitted in the gear lever. He changed all the wheel nuts to titanium and didn't charge me. And he just said, no, we're upgrading the cars. And he said, you are driving your car. He said, and I'm pleased that you're using it and you're enjoying it. So I've done this and I've done this and I've done this. Didn't used to ask you. You used to go down there, like, you know, I've come from a car, collect my car. And he's like, oh, well, we've done this and this and this as well. I know you didn't ask for it, but we've done it. Just, you know, to keep the car fresh. So that was, yeah, very nice of him. The car went to DK when I bought the second McLaren. It went down to DK, and then I believe the car finished up in Scotland at a sort of I can't remember the company, and I should. Dementia setting in. It was not a hire car as such, but people, you know, the sort of supercar ownerships, buying a share in a car kind of thing. It went to a company. I don't know exactly how long they had it, but I do know I'm in touch with the guy now that owns it, and he's got the most immense collection of cars. He did get in contact with me after I think I put one of the pictures on social media, sort of reminiscing about the car, and this guy sent me a very nice message. Basically, there was at the time, I think there was a picture of me and Horacio, with Horacio giving me the build file on the car, chassis number 12. This guy saw it. I don't think he'll not mind me saying, it's a guy called John Hui, H-U-I, who is latterly known. He's got a GT1, he's got a CLK GT, you know, he's got most things. He's got an F1. And he sent me this lovely message, and he said, you'd be interested to know I've got your Zonda. I'm not going to upgrade it, you know, as most people are doing. Sort of, he said, I'm going to keep it as it was, which I was like very pleased, you know, not that it's up to me, but he said, no, I'm just letting you know it's been good hands, it's been back to the factory. He said, and I've had it totally rebuilt, you know, which I was quite chuffed to hear about. I've got some fabulous memories of that car. So yeah, it's in good hands.